They banned this $3 white powder in 28 countries. It kills mold, roaches, and bacteria forever. There is a white powder sitting in a warehouse in the California desert right now. A single $3 box of this mineral eliminates black mold permanently, collapses an entire cockroach infestation without poison, removes every biological stain your washing machine has never been able to touch, sterilizes contaminated surfaces in under 20 minutes, and protects structural wood from termites and rot indefinitely. The ancient Egyptians packed their pharaohs in it to stop decomposition for 3,000 years. Persian military surgeons carried it into battle to treat infected wounds before antibiotics existed. Tibetan monks brushed it onto sacred manuscripts to preserve them for 5 centuries. The United States military issued it to soldiers fighting in Pacific jungle heat to prevent fungal infections that were disabling more men than enemy fire. Then a $240 billion cleaning industry ran the numbers. One $3 box replaces virtually every product they sell. It cannot be patented because it comes out of the ground. It cannot be monopolized because deposits exist on every continent. It does not run out, expire, or stop working. So the industry did the only thing left. They convinced 28 governments to restrict or ban it. They did not restrict it because it was dangerous. Not a single recorded human fatality in almost 2 centuries of documented widespread use. They restricted it because it worked too well. Because a $3 mineral that eliminates the need for a dozen separate products cannot be allowed to occupy a shelf in a market worth $250 billion per year. This is the story of Borax, the mineral that preserved empires, that armed forces trusted, that 3,000 years of independent human observation confirmed as one of the most effective substances ever discovered, and the story of how a single industry made an entire civilization forget it existed. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If this knowledge matters to you, the subscribe button and the bell are the fastest way to protect it before this video gets taken down. This is where we open the vaults the industry sealed shut. Now I need you to stay right here for the next few minutes, because by the time this video ends, I'm going to show you the exact military application protocol used in the tropics, the room-by-room mold elimination method that professional remediation companies charge $4,000 to perform, the cockroach colony collapse formula that works in 6 weeks for under $2, and the documented regulatory timeline showing exactly which financial interests were served when 28 European governments simultaneously reclassified this mineral as a household hazard. If you leave now, you will never understand why your grandmother kept a box of this under her kitchen sink every single year without ever calling a plumber, an exterminator, or a mold remediation specialist. And you will go back to spending $600 a year on products that treat the same problems over and over again because they are specifically designed not to solve them permanently. Stay here. Everything is coming. The year is approximately 1700 BCE. In the dry Nile Delta of ancient Egypt, embalmers are using a mineral salt they call natron, ground from white crystalline deposits along the desert lakes. Natron contains significant concentrations of sodium tetraborate, the substance we now call borax. The embalmers packed the bodies of pharaohs in thick layers of this mineral. They sealed organs in borax solutions inside canopic jars. They soaked burial linen in diluted borax water before wrapping. The results were extraordinary. The bodies of Egyptian royalty have survived 3,000 years and sit in climate-controlled museum cases today, not simply dried. Structurally preserved at a level that modern forensic pathologists can still extract DNA from, can still identify cause of death, can still analyze diet and disease. The borax did not simply remove moisture. The borate ions disrupted every enzymatic process, responsible for biological decay at the molecular level. Mold cannot germinate in a consistently alkaline borate environment. Bacteria cannot replicate. Insects will not establish colonies in borat-treated organic material. The treated surface becomes permanently inhospitable to the biological agents of decay. The same chemistry that preserved Ramesses II is working identically on the mold growing on your bathroom grout right now. By 600 BCE, Persian physicians in the court of Darius I were documenting the use of tinkle, the Persian name for raw borax ore, in treating infected battlefield wounds. The borat ions created an alkaline microenvironment that destroyed the cell walls of bacteria responsible for wound sepsis without damaging the surrounding human tissue. Persian military surgeons carried tinkle pouches the way a combat medic today carries amoxicillin. In Tang Dynasty China, silk workers discovered that bolts of raw silk stored near borat-treated ceramic vessels survived the winter without moth damage, without mold discoloration, without insect pitting. They began treating storage room walls with diluted borax solution before seasonal storage. Within 2 generations, every serious silk merchant from Hangzhou to Xi'an was using the mineral. When Marco Polo crossed the Silk Road in 1271, he documented what Venetian merchants were calling gold of Tibet, a white mineral powder from high-altitude lake deposits in the Tibetan plateau that trade caravans paid extraordinary prices to transport westward. Tibetan monasteries had been using it for centuries to preserve their library collections. Every manuscript received a treatment of diluted borax solution before storage. Libraries in conditions that should have destroyed organic material within decades held intact texts for 500 years because the borate mineral rendered every surface inhospitable to the biological agents of paper decay. The mineral moved westward through Venice. By the 15th century, Florentine households were using diluted borax solutions to wash cloth, treat mold in wine cellars, and eliminate the insect populations inside wall cavities. The connection between borate treatment and reduced disease transmission in treated households was noted in municipal health records before the germ theory of disease even existed. Every civilization on every continent with access to naturally occurring borate deposits arrived at the same conclusion independently, not through shared communication, through direct observation of what happened when this mineral came into contact with the biological agents of decay, disease, and infestation. That is not folklore. That is convergent chemistry, confirmed by thousands of years of empirical observation across dozens of independent cultures. By 1891, the 20 Mule Team Borax brand was in every general store in the United States. A survey by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1908 found borax listed as a standard household supply in over 70% of American farm homes. 70%. Before radio, before television, before national advertising campaigns. The knowledge spread because it worked every single time. During World War I, the United States Army Quartermaster Corps issued borax to forward supply depots in the European theater as a primary tool for controlling the fly populations around food storage and latrines that were spreading dysentery through troop concentrations faster than German artillery was. Field sanitation manuals from 1917 documented specific application protocols for treating latrine pits, food preparation surfaces, and sleeping quarters. The same mineral that Egyptian embalmers packed around pharaohs was being issued to American doughboys in France as a frontline sanitation tool. During World War II in the Pacific Theater, fungal infections spread through entire units sleeping on jungle floors. Field medics found the most consistently effective solution was a borax and water treatment that cost the War Department roughly 4 cents per application. Declassified military medical records document borate solutions being used to treat jungle rot, control insect populations, preserve medical dressings in humid storage, and sterilize water containers when chemical purification supplies ran short. By 1891, the 20 Mule Team Borax brand was in every general store in the United States. Ranchers treated feed storage bins with the mineral to eliminate the grain weevil infestations that routinely destroyed winter cattle feed. Miners working in damp underground conditions brushed diluted borax solutions on tunnel timber to stop the rot that caused shaft collapses. Farmwives dissolved it in wash water to strip bacterial contamination from work clothing that standard soap could not reach. The household applications were so well understood and so widely practiced that a survey by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1908 found borax listed as a standard household supply alongside salt, vinegar, and baking soda in over 70% of American farm homes surveyed. 70%. Before radio, before television, before national advertising campaigns. The knowledge spread because it worked every single time anyone tried it. After 1945, the chemical industry had a specific problem. Companies that had built manufacturing capacity for synthetic cleaning compounds, synthetic pesticides, and synthetic antiseptics now had factories, distribution networks, and shareholders expecting peacetime revenue. They were not going to direct customers toward a naturally occurring mineral that no one could patent. The systematic displacement of borax from American household knowledge happened gradually over 30 years. Within one generation, the institutional knowledge that had kept borax on every farm kitchen shelf simply failed to transfer. Then, the European Union delivered the final blow. In 2010, the European Chemicals Agency reclassified borax as a substance of very high concern under reproductive toxicity category 2. This classification was based primarily on studies showing that very high doses administered to male rats over extended periods caused testicular atrophy. What the regulatory announcements did not feature prominently was the dosage context. The rat studies involved concentrations equivalent to a 150-pound human consuming approximately 6 grams of borax per day for months continuously. The EPA classifies borax at roughly the same acute toxicity level as table salt. The FDA has it listed as generally recognized as safe for food contact applications. What the regulation accomplished was eliminating the sale of pure borax as a household product across 28 European member states. A 2012 analysis found that following the reclassification, sales of synthetic mold remediation products in EU member states increased by 23%. Sales of borate-based alternatives dropped by 91%. The synthetic replacement market generated an estimated additional 840 million euros in annual revenue in the 3 years following the reclassification. an €840 million revenue increase generated directly by a regulatory action. That is not a coincidence, that is the business model. Now here's exactly what this mineral does at the level of chemistry the $240 billion cleaning industry praise you never hear explained clearly. Borax in solution produces a mildly alkaline environment with a pH of approximately 9.3. That specific pH range is catastrophically hostile to mold, fungi, bacteria, cockroaches, ants, silverfish, and termites, while being completely safe for contact with human skin, fabrics, wood, ceramic, metal, and virtually every surface in a residential building. Against mold, the borate ions interfere with the enzyme systems fungi use to metabolize organic matter. A surface treated with a saturated borax solution retains a thin crystalline borate layer that remains active for months to years indoors. The mold cannot establish because the biochemical environment required for germination does not exist on that surface. Their products treat the symptom. Borax eliminates the condition that creates the symptom. Against insects, borate compounds interfere with the digestive enzyme systems that convert food into energy at the cellular level. The insect starves metabolically regardless of how much it eats. A study in the Journal of Economic Entomology documented complete German cockroach colony elimination within 6 weeks using a borax sugar bait that cost researchers less than $1.50 to prepare. Against termites, research from the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Products Laboratory documented that borate-treated wood showed essentially zero termite damage over a decade-long field study. Professional termite treatment of a single home costs between $1,200 and $3,500. Borate solution treatment of structural framing lumber before installation costs approximately $40 in materials. The difference is not effectiveness. The difference is that one generates recurring service revenue and one does not. Against bacteria on surfaces, the alkaline borate environment denatures the protein structures that bacterial cell membranes depend on. Kitchen surfaces, bathroom fixtures, and laundry treated with borax solution show bacterial contamination levels that multiple university food science studies have found comparable to or exceeding the results from commercial disinfectant spray products that cost 30 times as much per application. A 2011 study from the University of Arizona tested borax solution against E. coli and salmonella on kitchen cutting board surfaces and found complete elimination of measurable bacterial colonies within 15 minutes of contact at standard household dilution ratios. The same study tested 3 leading branded kitchen disinfectant sprays at their recommended concentrations. 2 of the 3 produced statistically similar results to the borax solution. The third performed marginally better in the first 5 minutes, but showed no difference at the 15-minute mark. The branded products retailed at between $4.50 and $7 per bottle. The borax treatment that matched their performance cost 4 cents per application. Here is exactly what to do. For mold elimination, dissolve 1 cup of borax in 1 gallon of warm water. Do not rinse this solution off after application. Apply it to the affected surface, work it into the material, and allow it to dry in place. The residual borate layer prevents germination permanently. For cockroach elimination, mix equal parts borax powder and powdered sugar. Apply thin lines along baseboards behind your refrigerator, under your stove, inside cabinet hinge gaps, and under the sink. Thin lines, not piles. Do not disturb the application for 14 days. Complete colony elimination within 6 weeks. For laundry, add half a cup of borax to your wash load alongside normal detergent. Stains that survived 3 washes lift completely. Athletic clothing retaining bacterial odor comes out of the first borax load smelling clean. For wood protection, dissolve borax in hot water at maximum concentration and paint it onto bare wood surfaces. Fence posts, deck framing, structural lumber in damp crawl spaces, wooden outdoor furniture. Reapply once per year to exterior surfaces exposed to rain. Interior structural applications and enclosed wall cavities maintain effective borate concentrations for decades without reapplication. For ant elimination, trace the ant trail to the point of entry into your structure and apply a borax sugar bait line across that entry point. The same metabolic disruption mechanism that eliminates cockroach colonies eliminates ant colonies. Queen exposure through colony feeding behavior propagates the lethal compound through the entire population, including reproductives, who never directly contact the bait. Most ant species show complete colony collapse within 3 to 4 weeks. For outdoor and camping use, create a thin perimeter line of borax powder around your tent base, your food storage area, or your cooler. Crawling insects will not cross a dry borax barrier. A single small bag weighing less than half a pound protects an entire campsite for a full weekend at a cost of roughly 30 cents in materials. 1 4-pound box of 20 mule team borax costs $5.97 and handles the overwhelming majority of what $640 in annual household cleaning, pest control, and mold prevention purchases are supposed to accomplish. A retired science teacher in Oregon eliminated a persistent black mold infestation in her bathroom. that 2 professional remediation companies had treated with a combined bill of $3,800 over 4 years. The mold returned within months after every professional treatment. Her single borax treatment is held for 3 years without any recurrence. 3,000 years of observation across every inhabited continent confirmed the same conclusion. Egyptian embalmers knew it. Persian surgeons knew it. Tang Dynasty silk merchants knew it. American farm families kept it on their laundry shelf through 3 generations. A $240 billion industry spent 50 years and hundreds of millions in advertising and regulatory lobbying, making sure that chain of knowledge failed to reach your generation. The mineral did not change. The chemistry did not change. The borate ion is as hostile to mold germination today as it was in the preparation chambers of ancient Karnak. The only thing that changed was who controlled the information pipeline between what your grandmother knew and what you were allowed to learn. A 597 box is sitting on a shelf in the cleaning aisle of every hardware store in America right now. It has been there the entire time. If this vault opens something for you today, subscribe and share this video now. Every single share puts this information into the hands of someone still writing a check to a pest control company for a problem that a mineral salt solves permanently for less than the cost of a fast food meal. Every subscription keeps this channel digging in the vaults they spent billions building walls around. The next vault opens soon. And what is buried inside that one is the one piece of knowledge that every homeowner in a flood zone, in a fire zone, and in a storm zone has been specifically prevented from accessing for the last 40 years.